Right now at 11 o'clock and live on the Channel 3 streaming news app. Another night of demonstrations across the United States, 1 week now after the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers.
New York, Boston, and Providence, all of them just miles away, and they have been home to looting and violence. And as we watch demonstrations turn dangerous in these neighboring cities, many are now concerned about violence crossing the border into Connecticut.
We have team coverage for you tonight as we watch these protests play out all across Connecticut and around the country. But we begin with Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Matthew Campbell. He is live above the newsroom. And Matthew, how is the state currently working on this?
Well, Aaron and Mark, those concerns are being felt on the streets where these protests are happening, in the living rooms of our viewers, all the way up to the state capitol. And we're getting a look tonight at what's being done to keep the peace.
There is now a $2,500 reward out for the person responsible for throwing a Molotov cocktail at the New Haven police substation on Winchester Ave. This and an incident where mace was used on some protesters in the Elm City are the few times when Connecticut demonstrations for racial equality got violent.
We're being very cognizant of what's going on around the country and the temperature of social media.
At the governor's daily news update, New Haven's police chief Tony Reyes says the process to ensuring safety includes technology and community engagement. For example, he says talks of potential looting was identified but never materialized.
Our work is being done behind the scenes to identify those individuals to see if we can prevent that before it happens.
Reyes also confirms other states have seen protests turn violent because of people who aren't even local.
Many people are crossing state borders to come into specific jurisdictions to cause the looting and to engage in violence.
Police in Connecticut are working with federal officials to identify these out-of-state agitators.
We can do some proactive work to arrest those folks if we indeed identify them, and because they do not represent the community.
President Trump promised to deploy the National Guard in cities where protesters have looted and violently clashed with police. Governor Lamont revealed the president called on Connecticut to send some of our guardsmen and women down to D.C.
I think we have responded right now that our Guard is very busy doing the COVID-related work I mentioned earlier, on standby as needed as we think about what's happening here in the state.
Now, last night we spent some time talking with protesters who did say they were encouraged by seeing state leaders, including the governor and police chiefs, stand in solidarity. They did say they wanted to see more from the state. Today we asked what more state leaders were willing to do to unite, and the governor said holding officials accountable and proving to the community that they're there to represent them. Live above the newsroom, Matthew Campbell, Channel 3 News.